Welcome to the poetry vlog. I'm going to do a quick introduction to today's vlog episode because it also marks an introduction to a new ongoing feature. So my friend Patrick and I, we're going to actually regularly, maybe even weekly, we'll see how we fare once the quarter starts, we as in my editing of the videos, for pop culture analysis because we have a lot of fun with it. This one went really long, so I'm going to allow 30 minutes from now on for these vlog episodes. Eventually I'll update the site and the descriptions elsewhere because I'm finding that when I do these interviews, that's about how long they end up going. And there's probably 20 minutes of solid content and 10 minutes of like additional things that if I edit them out, there'd be no personality. So I think we'll see how that goes. Patrick and I in particular, though, I won't do this to other people, will be from now on setting a timer and making a game of it. So if you think it's funny to watch us like suddenly rush to try to get all our ideas in because we're both like extremely verbose people with lots of writing and things to say all the time, then that might be a humorous addition in the future. And you can also now know that this is going to be a regular feature aside from the weekly guest interlocutor longer posts and the daily podcast readings of poems and pop culture, as well as the flash briefings on your Echo Dot or of just general podcasts. Another note I'd like to make is I was editing it and I realized that we talked about regular speech and how people speak a lot. And Patrick and I both have a good background in cultural studies, so we say this with sort of like an asterisk always attached, but it doesn't mean you're listening with an asterisk attached. So to clarify, we are very much working within the English language as it has been normalized in mass media in North America, specifically the United States. We are in no way, shape, or form trying to claim that this is how all languages and all syntaxes function at all. And in fact, I think it's politically, socially, and personally really important to emphasize that, especially if you think about issues of different ways that different forms of speech and legibility are pathologized or seen as disabled or are considered disabled or pathologized that way as such, blah, blah, blah. I could create a complete inversion of the language, but the point is, even within people that are considered English as first language speakers, there isn't really one way to speak English. So I just want to clarify that we're both very aware of that, and I wanted to clarify for you if you're not aware of that, because that is something to consider. And if that's something that you want more discussion on, that is something that actually Samaya and I talk about on the upcoming Thursday vlog. Not as much in detail, but very much just the idea that there's these different language systems that carry different meanings that are sometimes erased or submerged. So one of the goals of the vlog is to undo some of that violence. So those are two quick notes. I hope you enjoy it. On that note of the verbose and lengthy whatever, I'm going to sign off and enjoy the Selena Gomez show. Welcome to the poetry vlog. Today we have Patrick Millian. You might notice that you don't recognize us because my hair is gone. Patrick's hair is gone. It's summer.
US.
Completely US. On that note, we may be poetry and PhD students, but we are pop music fans. And I texted Patrick and made him submit to listening to Selena Gomez.
She goes, I've been listening to a lot of Selena Gomez. By a lot, I mean the top 3 songs on Spotify. And I'm like, okay. She goes, we should do a show about Selena Gomez. I'm like, which songs should I listen to? She's like, no, but really, just the top 3 songs on Spotify. So the last week, I've just been like listening to 3 songs over and over again.
Well, mine is Bad Liar, or Liar.
Oh, yeah, and Bad Liar. But we aren't talking about Bad Liar.
But we both agree that's the real hit.
Yeah, that's the real hit.
Yeah.
She
knocked that one out.
Yeah. All right, but
Patrick,
which one are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk the first one, Back to You, right? And so I'll give you a quick background on Selena Gomez, and then we're going to dive in, and I'll play for you the first like verse and chorus. I encourage you to pause us though and listen to the whole song.
Yep.
You know, for a variety of reasons.
Like 1, 2, 3 dozen times, just like keep going. It's totally
Something
worth
Patrick
it.
and I have in common that we learned on our trip is that if we like get a song in our head that we want to like figure out, we listen to it over and over and over,
and it just goes on a loop. So it's been a lot of Selena Gomez.
Yep. And today we're getting real scholarly on you. We're gonna also do a video recorded scansion, meaning there was one episode I did.
We're doing very little scansion. Don't
get scared.
Don't worry.
There's an old episode where I did a little bit of scansion and explained iambic pentameter.
Oh, okay.
It was probably terrifying. So this is going to be a lot more accessible. And what I mean by scansion is we're just going to mark down, or let's just say Patrick's going to mark down, and I'm going to make, editorial comments where the different stresses fall, and we'll try to figure out where that falls with the beat to try to figure the song out a bit. And if you're like, oh, that sounds so tiring, good news, we did it for you. So you get to just listen along and be like, interesting, Selena Gomez just entered the university. And you'll get a dip into how we listen.
All right. So to get started, Selena Gomez, I was listening to one of her songs on the radio because I listen to the radio more than I like to admit to most people. And I was like, I keep getting it stuck in my head. So now I have to listen to it. And then I opened up Spotify and I listened to the first 3 songs and I kept getting all 3 of them stuck in my head. And then I was like, I'm kind of curious about the Selena Gomez. I mean, I knew about her. I'm not that under a rock. But like, I was like, what's the deal? Because now on Spotify, you have Lyrics Genius, where it like gives you the lyrics and then it gives you some background on the artists.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, Homegirl's done like a lot of collabs,
Mhm.
like a lot. And I didn't know that she's also the executive producer of 13 Reasons Why, which is actually a show on Netflix that I have watched as well.
I've seen it.
Most people might have not. It's basically about like bullying and different things teenagers go through, and in particular, it centers in on school complicity in rape culture and bullying, as well as the ways like different like social environments in high schools make it difficult to speak about sexual violence or gender violence. In some, I can't give too much because that would be a spoiler alert. But it's quite intense.
It's amazing how you gave a whole summary without like a single character's name or plot point.
I once passed an entire English exam, now that you mention it.
It's like when you take the test without reading the book, you really nailed it.
Yeah.
If I then find out that you don't even have a Netflix account,
you wouldn't be surprised.
Follows.
Yeah. But this is also a pattern with me, though. I don't remember names very well, and I don't remember plot very well. I remember ideas very well.
Okay.
So I really did one time get a 4.0 on my final in a film as literature 300 class by writing an entire film analysis without mentioning a single character.
You told me about this. Like the protagonist's girlfriend's sister in this scene goes to a country with a beach.
Yeah, I got a 4.0. He's like, next time just use their names. I was like, okay. Anyway, that is to say, I was like, cool. She's a really young woman of color, and she's an executive producer of a show that, like, she says she's surprised it came out to be so politicized. And it's sad that it's so politicized because honestly, it's kind of like saying some very basic things that I think are woven in the fabric of our society.
Yeah.
So then I was curious about this song, especially, I think, because it's sort of like the champion song of the show. And that was the only song Patrick really cared of the 3. He was like, shut up with the other 2. I can't stop hearing, like, Cotton Eye Joe, was it?
Cotton Eye Joe. Wolves sounds like Cotton Eye Joe.
And then once you said it, I couldn't listen to it anymore.
This marshmallow guy with the head, and it's like, okay, you're doing the dead mouse thing, and then like EDM culture is its own disaster. That like that's another show altogether.
Yep.
But okay, let's talk about the song.
Let's do it.
Okay.
So we're gonna play for you 45 seconds ish of the song.
No, we got to get to the chorus, and that comes at 55 seconds.
Oh, that's true.
We talked about.
We're gonna play through the chorus.
It's like a machine. This song is like engineered to give you exactly what you want the moment you want it. So before the 30-second mark, you're going to get the pre-chorus.
Yeah.
It's going to say like, okay, we've done the verse long enough.
Yeah.
It's like here's something new, and you do the pre-chorus. You do that like second pre-chorus. You get that bridge, and then it's like by the minute you're just like, okay.
Explain what a pre-chorus and a bridge are for people who are like, well, what are you talking about?
I think these terms are like sort of hazy, but basically like the song is comprised of like verses and choruses. And like the verse usually keeps the same rhythm, the same melody, but the words change. When we're talking pop songs, it's what would be called strophic music, where the rhythm and the cadence stays the same, but the lyrics change.
Okay.
Old form, strophic, like strophe, antistrophe, epode. This is all like the ode. We're getting carried away. Anyway, the verse, basically the verse, music stays the same, words change. The chorus, also called the refrain, is basically the words stay the same, the music stays the same. But in order to get from the verse to the chorus, you often have something called a pre-chorus. This is marked usually by like a change in the rhythm, a change in the overall tone that has a sort of like driving quality to it. Yeah. Usually the harmonies will change. Usually it will be a different chord progression. Back to You is interesting because it's built out of the same 3 chords, and it's only a 2-bar phrase too. So the entire song is built out of a 6-4-1 chord progression. So it starts sort of on the 6th scale degree, goes down to the 1st, 2 beats later, or excuse me, it
What's
goes down to the
the-
fourth.
Cutting you off again. What's the 6th scale degree?
So you have like do, re, mi, fa, so, la. It's the la. So you're up there on la, which is actually if you're in a major key, that la chord, the 6th chord, is going to be a minor chord. So it starts in minor for the first 2 beats, and then it goes down to the 4th scale degree. Do, re, mi, fa, goes down to fa in the 4th. So now we're back in major. And then it doesn't go down to the 1st scale degree, but it actually goes back up. So it goes up to the do. So it goes 6, 4, 1.
Oh. And the whole song is structured like this.
Yep. So the whole song is built exactly.
Yeah.
So the whole song is built on this 2-bar chord progression, only 3 chords through the whole song, and that's even for pop music, that's pretty unusual.
Okay.
To have the whole thing built on such a minimal harmonic structure.
So basically, she's the Robert Lax of pop music.
I
Poetry
lift
joke.
One stone. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Robert
Lax is actually that. What you just heard.
Minimalist poetry is really interesting.
And so is minimalist pop music.
We're gonna do another
Just not what this is.
episode on minimalism
Yeah.
because me and American minimalism is like that's a whole nother day.
Okay.
That's a whole nother day.
Yeah.
Which
Selena Gomez.
it's a whole nother day. We're gonna talk about Steve Reich in another episode. We're gonna connect it to Selena Gomez. We're gonna talk
It all
about
makes sense.
speech prosody. It's gonna be awesome.
In the meantime, I'm gonna play the first whatever of Selena Gomez, and then if you want to pause us and just play the whole song, you would not be faulted.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Oh, from the beginning though.
Took you like a shot, thought that I could chase you with a cold evening. Let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you. And every time we talk, every single word builds up to this moment. And I gotta convince myself I don't want it, even though I do. You could break my heart in two, but when it heals, it beats for you. I know it's forward, but it's true. I wanna hold you when I'm not supposed to, when I'm lying close to someone else. You're stuck in my head, and I could get you out of it if I could do it all again. I know I'd go back to you.
I hope they didn't watch that.
I promise we're more graceful when not on camera. You don't really know our secret pop star lives.
You're right. Yeah, we have choreographed moves in our other vlog.
Right, we can do the In My Feelings challenge, for instance. Do you know about this? Another episode. Trust me.
Wow.
All right, so we're gonna jump right in. Patrick,
Okay.
I'm gonna have now, and you guys will have up here a new experiment I'm doing with movie editing, where I give you a screen recording of Patrick and I trying to scan the songs, aka Patrick scanning the songs with me sometimes being like, I disagree, and that will pretty much summarize it.
This is a 20-minute episode, right?
Well, 10 to 15.
10 to 15. So we have to scan it in 4 minutes.
Let's do it.
It's a 3.5-minute song, Chelsea.
We're gonna get where we can.
Okay.
Okay. I'll start us off.
Okay.
So what struck me was that the way 2 and 4 kept getting used in terms of the scansion. So the first line is two beats basically. The second line's 4 of them. The third line's 4 of them. The second one's 2. Right. So it's like a 2 4 4 2 in terms of where the beats fall. So
Okay.
took you like a shot. Thought that I could chase you with the cold evening. Let a couple of years water down how I'm feeling about you.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So
Yeah.
that's to start us off. Take it away.
Okay.
Explain how I got there.
Okay. So the song opens with those 4 bars. It goes through the chord progression twice.
Took you like a shot.
Before we take you like a shot, we just get that acoustic guitar doing that little finger picking. And it's on 2 and it's on 4 that you hear the scale degree. You hear the root of the chord that it's playing. So it's finger picking. And it's on that upbeat that you hear that note and you can hear, okay, we're in 6, 4 and 4, 4 and 1. Even if you don't have those words, you can hear that high note in the finger picking that sort of tells you where you are. And it's on 2 and it's on 4, which is pretty standard. 2 and 4 is the backbeat. It's what gives you that groove. It's sort of what makes
It's what
it
you can
fancy.
fall into.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, if you saw us like bouncing around.
Yeah. So we're bouncing around, and she starts singing on 2. So it's in 4/4 time. 1. Took you like a shot. Thought that I could chase you with the cold evening. Let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you. So we have took you like a shot, and this is so far we're going good. Thought that I could chase you with a cold evening. She sort of switches it up
Thought I
there.
could
Chase you with the cold evening.
Right.
So thought, chase, evening.
I get it. Yeah.
But we sort of got a little bit of a groove.
And I'll
Um,
pause here. So people who didn't watch my earlier episode, these markings, the long lines are where Patrick's marking stresses. The U's are where he's marking unstressed.
Mhm.
Right? So took you like a shot, where I just clap my hand, is basically where stresses should be.
Yep.
And the in between are unstresses.
So what you're seeing here is the stress happens on took you like a shot. Typically, if anyone knows anything about meter, it's usually iambic pentameter,
And not
right?
if anybody knows anything.
If anyone knows anything, period, it's iambic pentameter. No. If you know much about Abby's texting me.
Thanks.
Abby poetry. But usually it's iambic pentameter.
Okay.
And the iamb will start with an unstressed syllable and then a stressed one.
Right.
So
I walk.
I walk.
I
Yeah.
walk my dog to the park.
So the way I always have to remember it, this is my favorite mnemonic device.
Do it.
If ever you're like, Patrick, what's your favorite? Now you'll know. It's the iamb saunters through my book. Trochees rush and tumble. If anapes run like a scurrying brook, dactyls are stately and classical.
You just took my I walk my dog to the park. Another level.
I learned that as an undergrad. I was a sophomore at CU Denver, and
Yeah.
Elliot Khalil Wilson, author of God of Fishes, author of a
Yeah.
book, he shared that, and I have never forgotten it.
Yeah.
It's just wedged so deep
Yeah.
in there. So anyway,
So where were we? I cut
trochees
you
rush
off.
and tumble. So trochaic meter has the stress on the first syllable. Trochees rush and tumble. Took you like a shot. So we got that rushing and tumbling feeling that we get with this trochaic
Yeah.
meter. It's a little bit squirrely. It's not fully trochaic. That's why we had a little bit of a fight under
Yeah.
thought that I could chase you with a cold
I think
evening.
part of it too is when I hear it in my head, I don't hear the getting because it's not on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're talking, you're took you like a shot, right? As opposed to took you like a shot.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
I mean? So this is where it gets
Shot.
dicey. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because
Yep.
once you have the melody in your head and you're hearing the 4 count,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, and so what's interesting about the first verse and the second verse as well is it has a really speech-like quality to
yeah,
it. Took you like a shot, thought that I could chase you with the cold evening, let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you. I don't know, how would you describe the sense of these opening lines? Because there's something almost intimate about it, because it is speech-like. Took you like a shot, thought that I could chase you with a cold evening. There's something...
Well, I don't know if this is about being speech-like, but for me, the fact that the opening line is "took you like a shot" is quite literally you're launching into something that you can't totally control.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So for me, it made sense that the line ended at "shot," and I think the reason I was resistant to being emphasized is because I'm already settling into the comfortableness of that 4 count. I'm "took you like a shot," as opposed to "took you like a shot."
Mm-hmm,
You see what I'm saying? So I think part of it is there's this ease to it that feels like a drawn out iambic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm just okay, we're in it. You know? And I think part of it is this is less about the rhythmic patterning, but thought that I could chase you with a cold evening. The fact that we start short and then go long feels more like actual speech patterns.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times when every line is the same length and it's rhythmic patterning,
Mhm.
that's not how we talk.
Yeah.
I don't say Patrick, I walked my dog to the park.
Patrick, I walked my cat to the house. Like, it gets really weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So this is also like, there's like this give and take,
Yeah.
right? So took you like a shot, and then the next line's like longer as if you're talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thought that I could chase you with a cold evening.
Yeah.
So then it's more like how actual conversation flow goes.
And another part of how actual conversation flow goes is we often forget to include subjects in our sentences. Like sometimes it happens, and you'd be like, Patrick, does that happen in the song? And I'd be like, glad you asked, as opposed to I'm glad you asked,
Yeah.
right? So we do this all the time.
Or Chelsea, I am glad you asked.
Chelsea, I am glad you asked. Yeah, we just say
Yeah.
glad you asked.
Yeah.
Took you like a shot. I took you like a shot.
Mhm.
I thought that I could chase you with a cold evening.
Yeah.
I let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you.
Right, so
she's
there's like a shrug in there almost.
Yeah.
Like,
but by leaving off the subject, she's only giving us sentence fragments.
mhm.
And so even though it has this propulsive quality, thought that I could chase you with the cold evening, let a couple years water down how I'm feeling about you.
Yeah.
Even though it has this propulsive, breathless, sort of expansive quality to it, it's
Mhm.
made out of fragments. It's made out of these tiny little
Yeah.
pieces, which it would be a bit of a stretch, but to connect that to the fact that the chord progression is made of these like absolute minimal components, 6-4-1 repeated over and over again,
Mhm.
that we get these fragments that add up to something propulsive and expansive. We have the music and the text enacting similar gestures.
Yeah.
But we need to move on. We need to get past this chorus
Mhm.
because then things.
But I think like part of like just so in order to move on, right? I think
Okay.
part of what like I want to interrupt and say is that we start here, we expand outward, and then the feeling about using the background, so you have a minute to catch your breath,
Mhm.
and then we start again slower, right? Which is and every time we talk, every single word builds up to this moment, right? So there's a continuous like down out.
Yeah.
Out. So she gives you a break.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, she
Without being like nursery rhymish.
Yeah, she takes a break totally. And so she says, and every time we talk, every single word builds up to this moment. And I got to convince myself that I want it, even though I don't want it, even though I do. And so with that, and I got to convince myself, what she's doing is she's taking all those syllables and compressing them.
Yeah.
It's diminishing the melody. She's taking more notes and fitting them into the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So like we were talking about with verses, same melody, different words. The words are so different, they're actually more syllables. So she's got to sail through them. And I got to convince myself I don't want it, even though I do. And by compressing it,
Yeah.
she builds that velocity. And ultimately what the song, I think, is about, this is like my thesis of the song, is this line, every single word builds up to this moment.
Mhm.
So it's less, the song, yeah, sure, it's about, I'd go back to you. Every pop song is a love song, right?
Yeah.
And so this is her love song for her lost lover that she's still in love with. She'd go back to him,
Yeah.
or her, we don't really know. But she'd go back to them no matter what. But also, every single pop song is also about pop songs. There's always this sort of like self-commentary,
Yeah.
sort of it's very self-aware.
This is how we're doing it.
Yep. It, like every pop song sort of points at itself and says like, these are the conventions.
Yeah.
This is how I'm playing with it. And this is how I'm sort of
Yeah.
operating within these confines.
Yeah.
And so just like I mentioned earlier, that she gives you the pre-chorus by 30 seconds. She gives you the chorus by a minute. So
Yeah.
she's hitting all these marks. Every single word is building up to these important moments within the song.
Yeah.
So it's a song about I'm still in love with you, but ultimately it's a song about how pop songs work.
Yeah.
And that's
Can
all.
you also scan that line so people can see how compressed it is?
Okay.
And I gotta convince, you know what I mean? Because every time we talk is kind of obvious.
Yeah.
And every single word builds up to this moment is a little more obvious. And then suddenly it's like a mouthful, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta convince myself I don't want it.
Yeah. So
Because she could have just said, like, I've
And
gotta
I
convince,
gotta-
you know?
convince.
Okay, let's read it as if there's no melody, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta convince myself I don't want it, right?
Yep.
Right. So it's that I gotta. And just to clarify, like, this isn't lack of skill, right? Like, so they have teams of people writing these things,
Yes.
right? So
This
they could have said,
focus groups.
for instance, I've got to convince myself I don't want it.
Yeah.
That would have fixed it. for
And
the most
also,
part.
she's been leaving off subjects all along.
Yeah.
Gotta convince myself I don't want it.
Right. But instead, they're like, no, we're going to cram this right
Yeah.
here.
Not like, we got to give you
Mhm.
2 more syllables just to make it a
Which is
little more
part of what
awkward.
makes it feel conversational. Because
Mhm.
then it doesn't sound too much like she's just like, you know, da, 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 like, right? It's also part of what makes it feel like it's rushing out.
Mhm.
Like all of these words have to get crammed in here,
Yep.
you know? Yeah. And then it springs back into itself, which just, even though I do.
Yep.
Right?
Okay.
So,
So
you can
then,
catch up.
then things get interesting. So she gives us 2 pre-choruses. She gives us 2 sort of musical ideas that lead up to the chorus when the beat drops. Interestingly enough, when the beat drops, when we get to the chorus,
I love when you say when the beat drops.
Yeah,
it sounds so dramatic.
It's a technical term. It's a technical term. It's what they teach you this is what they teach you.
Yeah.
But weirdly enough, the chorus doesn't have many words to it, right? It's got that weird slide guitar sound with the synthesizer going on
Yeah.
at the same time. But for the most part, it's just like back to you,
Yeah.
sort of over and over again. But what's catchy about the chorus isn't the words; it's the moment. You know, it's when the
Yeah.
beat drops. Every single word
Yeah.
leads up to the
And
moment.
then it's like stretched out.
Yeah, to
You
when you
know?
can dance, to when you can
Right.
really sort of like feel that liberation that
Yeah.
pop music gives
Yeah,
you.
yeah. And the
which is-
longing.
Mhm.
Right? Because it slows down into these suddenly like, because you
Yeah.
no longer have that like,
Yep.
it like stops and it just like pulls out.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
what pop music is all about. Is sort of building that expectation and then meeting your expectation.
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's why pop music is amazing, because it doesn't pull any punches. It gives you 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Can you
But-
talk about the chiasma?
Yes. So we're gonna get to the chiasmus in a second.
Yeah, oh wow.
We
My
got-
pronunciation of cadence versus cadence. And now I've got my own discipline's term wrong.
Okay. So here we go. We get to, even though I do, what we hear at this point is that speech-like velocity is totally gone. She's singing at this regular pace. It's really easy, and it rhymes. It rhymes in a really
Mhm.
clear way. She gives you 3 rhymes: to, you, and true. What's important here are these 2: to and you.
Mm-hmm.
So true is important, but 2 and you are going to be more important.
Yeah.
Because the next line we get is, I want to hold you when I'm not supposed to. Those
Mhm.
words might be familiar to you now. When I'm lying close to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here you got that. Someone else. You want that rhyme, right? I want to hold you when I'm not supposed to. When I'm lying close to someone else, you want that. You want that rhyme. And she gives you that rhyme, but she's going to put it as the first word of the following
next
line.
Yep.
You're stuck.
Which is actually
in my
quite
head.
clever.
Yeah.
That's actually an old poetry trick in the book, is to make
Yes.
the end of one line actually the beginning of the next line, so that for a minute you're extra hooked.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, every single word is building up to this moment. So it's all about building this
Yep.
velocity. And so you want the word to come at the end of the line,
Mm-hmm.
but it's actually arriving at the beginning of the next line.
Mm-hmm.
So before you even know it, you're already moving on to the
And
next
part of why
idea.
you want it there is because this built you there.
Yeah.
Like the to you true.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so she's primed you for these 2 syllables, to and you. You're going to be listening to them whether you know it or not. And she
Mhm.
gives them to you, but she gives them to you in a weird order.
And that's the chiasmus, right?
Yes, this is where
So
the
can you
chiasmus
explain
comes in.
what that word means so people understand exactly what you mean when you say that?
Sure. Chiasmus comes from the Greek word.
I
knew-
knew I should have Wikipedia'd
You
it.
knew it was coming. It was coming. Last time we did ekphrasis, right? So we're doing chiasmus. To those of you in sororities, chi is the X letter. So the chiasmus is the Greek word for the shape of an X.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's shaped like an X.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see, here, we're going to do it this way. This will be the big reveal later on. So we get you, and then later on in the line we get 2, and then in the next line we get 2, and then just like we talked about, we expect the you here, and we do get it. It just happens to be down there,
Which is brilliant.
which is brilliant. And so we got 2 tricks going on at once.
Yeah.
We got that enjambment going on. But
For those of you with engineer brains like mine, this is very exciting.
this is another reason why pop music is
Yeah.
interesting, because it's hyper engineered within
Yep.
an inch of its life.
Yeah.
Like it
This
is.
is the moment where if you're an English major nerd, you get like excited while writing your essay because you're like, I found something.
Yeah, right.
It's like
right.
a treasure hunt.
But
Yeah.
ultimately, like this is all there, and
Yeah.
it's all there to like operate on you in these subtle ways that you don't know. So yeah, it's super fun to realize that she's going you to you. You draw lines between these two. There's your chiasmus. There's your X. So these two lines that propel you into the third line are built on the chiasmus, and the chiasmus is a pretty. You hear it. You hear it in Taylor Swift. I don't like nobody, and no, I don't trust nobody, and nobody trusts me.
Sorry. All right. Give another example.
She married crying, laughing, she divorced.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Boy.
So she married crying, laughing, she divorced. So we got married and divorced, right?
Yeah.
And then you got laughing and crying.
Yeah.
So you connect those, make an X. So that's
Cool.
sort of
It's a clever trick because your brain like wants to fill those pieces in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's hard to not finish. Basically, you're like, I have to keep going here for a second because it's almost there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there's one piece of the puzzle left. I see that piece right there. I'm not going to go now walk and make a hot chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. You're in it, and you're like, this has my attention.
Yeah.
And getting your attention and holding your attention is how these songs get stuck in your head. So if it's any surprise, it really shouldn't be, because the next line is, you're stuck in my head.
And on that note, we're at 31 minutes.
You're stuck in my head, and I can't get you out of it. If I could do it all again, I know I'd go back to you. And then we get that chorus. Yeah,
I hate that background sound.
We get the chorus, the wordless chorus. It finally shows up, and it's been, at that point, it's like 55 seconds into the song, and we've already been
unlike my blog posts.
Yeah, right. Unlike these, but it's amazing because 55 seconds in, and we've been on this total odyssey.
Yeah.
You know, we've gone through these speech-like velocity building lines in the verse. And then we've gone into the first pre-chorus, which is priming us to hear these patterns with to and you and true.
Yeah.
And then we hear that same pattern rearranged into the shape of an X. And then she's going to say, you're stuck in my head and I can't get you out of it.
And you're like, me too, Selena.
Yeah. And it's like, we're not even a minute in and you're already stuck in my head.
Yeah.
And she's like, if I could do it all again, I know I'd get back to you. And that's exactly what the song's going to do. The song is going to get back to you.
This is very much bias, like personal bias, right? But for me, like, because I don't love that, right? The fact that sections where suddenly that stops and that's the chorus of like longing, I listen to the rest of the song waiting for that chorus. I'm like, okay, we're going to get there and then it'll feel like I can breathe again. You know what I mean? It's like this like very much like desire moment where it's like, da, 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 da. Like it's totally melodic all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So for me, it also recreates that like desire to get there, if that makes sense. Like I didn't really care as much about this song too much for me until I got there, and that's why I couldn't get out of my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I got to listen to it again to get to there, which is exactly what she's recreated for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's less about, part of it is about there. Part of it is about the chorus.
Yeah.
But most of it is
ricocheting back.
Chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that like,
because it's tiny. It's this itty bitty blip.
Well, the whole
and then
thing
you ricochet back out.
Yeah. And so she is building all this momentum and all this tension and all this anticipation, but she does it all in 55 seconds. And like that's what's so amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, now that we've nerded out for you on Selena Gomez.
That's really long.
It was very long.
Okay.
We're going to get better at this. But for now, your world is not lesser for listening to us talk about Selena Gomez, I hope, actually. And we decided we're going to make this a regular thing because we have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, are we doing Robin next week?
Yeah, okay. That works for me. Anyway, we'll do Robin next week. That totally works for me. But we'll have to like really like set a timer for ourselves. I feel like if we did Robin, we would talk for like an hour. Yeah. So we'll like set a timer next time, and maybe that'll be part of this, like part of that, because this is very docu-style. So now you're listening to us think through this. It might actually be worthwhile for us to like legitimately make that part of our goal. Like we try to see if we can get it to when the timer stops, and if we don't, we'll keep going a little bit. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but I feel like if this had hit 20 minutes, then we just hit the stop button.
It would have been miserable.
You
would have missed our moments.
Every single word.
And now you realize it's why we write dissertations.
All leads up to this moment. And what if that moment's after the 20-minute mark?
It wouldn't be stuck in your head.
No,
You know?
certainly not. Certainly not. Okay.
All right, I'm going to wrap us up. So thank you for listening. Patrick, thanks for being so
Anytime.
willing to do this. It was a lot of fun. I'm going to give you the usual ways to reach out and contact, right? So if you want to be featured, you have a request for something we talk about, including a pop song, hip hop song, rap song, R&B song, I'm speaking for you now, but I personally don't care. If you're like, Chelsea, no, we're not doing R&B, I'll figure it out. But like,
yeah, we can do that. It's a different vocabulary.
It is.
It'll be interesting.
I agree.
Yeah. Because different
I
things
know.
at play. Different things at
I
play.
know. And
So
that's what will be more in
We'll
my
do Robin,
wheelhouse.
we'll do American minimalism,
Yeah.
we'll do R&B,
Yeah.
and maybe poetry.
Maybe. Yeah.
Anyway.
No, well, none of you are here for that. Let's be real. All right. I'm going to back up now. So if you have anything you want us to talk about, especially shout out to our students, actually.
Oh,
I prioritize student requests when I can.
okay.
Feel free to ask and we'll figure it out somewhere because we just have fun doing this. And if you're trying to reach out because you have feedback, thoughts, questions, comments, or you want to be on it, which is also cool. I don't care who you are as long as you're nice. You can reach out to me via my website, chelseagrimmer.com. There's a contact page there. You can go to my email, cgrimmer@uw.edu. There's Twitter, twitter.com/chelseagrimmer. And now there's an Instagram just for the poetry blog. So it's the poetry blog with underscores between the and poetry and vlog. So the three words are separated out. And there's also a Facebook page. So facebook.com/the poetry blog. And of course, there's the podcast version. You can find it on iTunes or Spotify, or just go to anchor.fm if you have a different type of podcast distributor. And I always transcribe these to the podcast. And then the podcast also has weekday 2-minute flash briefing poetry readings because they're called flash briefing readings as the last plug. If you have an Amazon Echo device, you can request that it be your flash briefing, that every morning for 2 minutes you hear a poem. Sidebar.
I read one of those.
Thank you. Yes, you did. It's true. Enlightenment always happens for us here. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. And we will see you soon and have a lovely day.
Hi.
Bye.